This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. This is a very difficult video to try to get around to cover because, of course, it's so sad and tragic that a Hollywood actor, Matthew Perry, who nobody out there probably knows, suddenly passed away at the age of 54, and I couldn't think of what could have possibly happened. I mean, we've obviously seen Matthew Perry, for those of you that are familiar with him. I actually wasn't familiar with this tweet that he put out, or this Instagram post. I am familiar with the TV show Friends, but he did put out some posts like everybody in Hollywood did, because all of these low-level Freemasons are all ordered to do what they're told. That's why every one of them was told to push this thing instead of actually being a little bit self-aware about what it could potentially do to their career. Because if anybody was aware of their career, they would avoid politics, they would avoid religion, they would just go out there and do their acting. And especially when it came to the magic potion, they probably would have ignored it. But these people just don't seem to care, and that's why Matthew Perry had this really interesting tweet that he put out, or Instagram post, excuse me, back in, back in the day, so to speak, where he had a shirt that he was selling. And it says, "Could I be any more magic potioned?" Well, Matthew, apparently you could be. Because, well, I guess apparently you couldn't be at this point because, well, I don't know if you could personally take any more because clearly your body stopped kicking. Now, of course, I'm not blaming it on that. That's just a mere coincidence. But what I do want to point out is multiple things in looking at this, researching this after the fact, because I wasn't even aware of it. And a friend of mine, Gary, had sent me the picture of him with the shirt, and I was like, oh, okay, what's the big deal? Oh, he perished. He passed away. So when I look up Matthew Perry, it's very interesting, some of the stuff that comes up, because it actually sums up everything that's wrong with the world. But the first thing we all should take into account, he died Saturday night, October 28th. And within minutes, Yahoo, Rolling Stone, all of the mainstream media, I mean minutes, literally released well-crafted articles that say, quote, "Twisted anti-magic potioners rush to blame Matthew Perry's death on the magic potion." So when this happens, they always have these things in place, right? Why would they even bring attention to this? Like, it's not like this was blasted on Fox News or anywhere. Well, Fox News doesn't even get views anymore, but it wasn't put anywhere where anybody would notice or think of that. But they just love to put this out immediately. Why? Because they know how this works on people's minds. It automatically gets them to deflect anyone who says anything about this or brings up any coincidences to someone who's 54 years old suddenly perishing. So I'm going to get into the article about how they're already spinning propaganda about this. And I want to mention two things. Number one, a lot of people out there go, hey, man, you know, if these people are all in on it, they're not really taking the potion. Well, there's truth to that because a lot of certain people aren't. But low-level actors, low-level Freemasons, remember they're at different degrees inside of their secret societies. It doesn't mean that they're in the know. It doesn't mean that they're all not going to be affected or they're all told, hey, don't take this. They don't care about minions even in their own secret society. Does Satan actually care about people doing his bidding? No, he does not. So it doesn't surprise me. I mean, I know people are going to argue that, I don't think he really had it or not. Well, I believe that he did, and I believe that obviously these are the types of things that happen. But of course, they'll bring up that this guy had addictions, etc., etc. And when I researched this and I put Matthew Perry's name in YouTube to see if he did any interviews about the potion before I saw, or after the fact that I saw that he had that tweet up, the first video that comes up, I'm going to play you. Because this is exactly everything that's wrong with humanity, with our society. And that is a YouTuber that somehow has 1 million subs. And I'm not going to even get into how that's humanly possible. But it's everything I talk about, how grown men behave like children. And the fact that we're heading towards World War III. And anyone out there that doesn't think so, it's completely insane. These are the types of people that are supposedly civilians on, that would be or should be on our side. This is how they're behaving and acting. So you can't tell me when you see this video, because the guy starts to cry. He admits that he never met Matthew Perry. And I'm only showing you this because this is the video that came up first in searching this guy's death, which means they want this out there. This is the type of behavior that spreads because all the people in the comment section, everybody's heartbroken over someone they've never met, over someone that's not even a part of their lives, but they think that they're a part of their lives because they're under a psychosis, right? This is what we should be looking at as mental health problems when people are weeping over a celebrity dying in a hot tub, right? We should look at that and we should say to ourselves, there's something wrong with that because it's not normal. It's not normal at all for grown men to even feel this way, to be telling everyone their feelings on it, to be saying that the person that they never met changed their lives, and then just break down and cry. Take a look at this trending, or at least being promoted through the YouTube algorithm. This sums up everything wrong with humanity right now.
Yeah, Matthew Perry has apparently died at the age of 54 years old, and they're looking more into it of what led to this apparent drowning. And needless to say, I'm pretty messed up about it at the moment. And I just wanted to say a few things to remember him. In case you guys don't know, ever been watching this channel for a while, I've stated many times, I've even worn Matthew Perry on my shirt several times on this channel, is Friends is my all-time favorite show. I've obsessively watched it many, many times, rewatched it. And, you know, when I was like a little kid, I realized very early on that I was an extremely depressed child. There's no other way to put it. I knew it. Like had a lot of severe depression. I was born in 1990, and Friends was a show that I really credit for helping to shape a lot of my personality. You know, but it was mainly Chandler. Like, there are two personalities I credit for helping to shape my personality, and that was Conan O'Brien and Chandler Bing, because I saw that there was a way as a coping mechanism, especially for Chandler, to use humor, especially with like going to school and being able to socialize with people. I naturally adopted it in like the self-deprecating side as well. And so this is a real life tragedy that is, it just feels silly. It sounds kind of goofy to say, because like I obviously never met this guy. I've never even seen him in person. But I really feel like this man helped save my life when I was a kid, like a lot. And you know, I even love following his other work. Like the whole 9 yards, whole 10 yards. I even really liked and watched both of them. And at least the second one I saw in theaters. I love Fools Rush In growing up, and I even watched Studio 60 because of him. Because he was the reason I watched that show. I didn't even know who Aaron Sorkin was at the time. That was the reason I watched that show. Even seeing him in 17 again and other things. I liked this Odd Couple show, and yeah, I really like a lot of his personal life and public life stuff has, you know, really been on the forefront and on display in a lot of his real life struggles. But I really feel like he brought a lot of joy to a lot of people, and especially in my life, I really feel like he helped shape me a lot. And as goofy as it sounds, because he was just some guy on TV for me, yeah, the dude actually meant a lot more to me than just that. And I just wanted to say thank you for everything you brought us. And thank you for helping save my life when I was a kid. And I hope you're in a better place now. And if the comments could just like, it'd be cool. Just share some love and, you know, the reverence, everything you can remember about this guy. Because it just feels weird. Because like, like I said, I don't know the guy. But it definitely made an impact on me. And I don't feel like I'd be here today. I'm going to just cut it off right here. But yeah, I did want to say something to remember him, because he was a big shining light in my life. That's all. Share down like what you love most about it. It's like, even when I was like pacing around outside, you know, it's like kind of naturally just will think of jokes in like uncomfortable moments. And when I shouldn't be thinking of jokes, I know a lot of that comes from Chandler. Just like making jokes at the most inappropriate times and just thinking about like how I was feeling. I was pacing around. This is stupid out loud to myself. I was like, could I be any more sad right now? It's like that kind of thinking is, yeah. Anyway, all right, I'm done. Rest in peace, Matthew Perry. I hope his friends and family are doing okay right now. And please share in the comments what you love most about him, and if he helped shape you at all too, growing up in the 90s.
So this is idol worship at its finest. Right now, I don't cheer or applaud if someone perishes, but I've noticed a trend in today's society of this ultimate fear of death. I feel even Christians are fearing this, and I feel that when we talk transhumanism, we talk the mark of the beast, and we talk about people living forever. That's another narrative that needs to be out there. We see even Christians who are fearing death. Now, I'm not saying that I want to drop dead by any chance, because if you say something like that, then they automatically mark you on a list of people who are ready to harm themselves, have mental health issues. But, I'm fine being alive and dealing with this war that's going on and fighting this every single day. But I don't fear death because I know what comes after. These people don't know what comes after, and they've been brainwashed into believing all these things like, they get put into the earth and then they come back as a cat or a dog or all this insane crap that they actually believe and think is science, and then they call us all insane, even though everything is biblical and we could see everything biblical around us. And of course, we know that they've hidden a lot of biblical locations on the earth because they don't want people to actually realize that God is real. So this is idol worship at its scariest, right? This is when we see people out there who are completely breaking down over someone on a television screen. This is a definition of hypnosis, being under hypnosis. This is a definition of being obsessed with people that they don't even know. And this is what they've done to all of society. So you could look at that guy and look in the background, right? He's got all the typical things you would see with these people that obviously, you could look at him and you could identify that he's a Democrat, right? He's a liberal, which is scary, just based on the fact that he's into all this childish stuff. And that's what they've done through infiltration of communism in our society. They've turned adults into children, which means when war comes, that none of these people will be ready to go to war, but they will be ready to attempt to rob you and push you to your limits with trying to get things off of you, or thinking that they deserve this and they deserve that, because that's what the behavior we see in children, right? A little kid wants a cookie, can't have the cookie, breaks down and cries he wants the cookie. These are adults acting the same exact way. And I can't emphasize that enough. People out there will probably say, hey, you're being a little hard. No, I'm not. This is exactly what's wrong. At a time where we need men to rise up, because if you actually act like in other time periods, the stuff they're doing right now wouldn't have started a revolutionary war. You're out of your mind. Just alone censorship of free speech would have started a revolution of some type. Not to mention all the other crap that they're doing with children and castration and infiltration, even more so in the school systems, into people's homes, how they say they want to be in your home, how they'll remove kids from your home if you don't let them cut off their wang. All this insane crap should have started a revolution by now, and it's not, because of people like this. Because this is what we live amongst. 40, 30-year-old men who have the bat signal on their shirt, who have all these there's nothing against, I get it. The period we grew up, might like a movie and all this stuff. This is a little bit much, right? In the background, it's got dolls. A little bit, right? You can have a movie poster. I'm not going to say you're going to be a child if you like something. I get it. Everybody's, I grew up and I like sports. Okay. I don't look at it the same anymore, but it doesn't make me better than anybody else. It's just a matter of perspective when you get older and you need to become a man, you need to become an adult, especially at times like this when war is coming to us. This is what we're up against. This is the mindset we're up against. These people don't even see anything wrong with what's going on in the world. This is their concern. Matthew Perry dying in a hot tub. Would he have seen Matthew Perry in anything since Friends? No. He was talking about seeing him in Fools Rush In. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? Are we going to see what you weep every time you see somebody from your favorite movie die and you act like they were your cousin? But the point of me covering this is shows you the hypnosis. And I talk about this with Twitter and Instagram, etc., where these people constantly post all this stuff sounding trying to sound and act like these celebrities as if they know them. Like Kim Kardashian will put up a tweet or an Instagram post and people in the comment section talk as if they know her. Great post, Kim. You think Kim's reading? You think Kim knows? What they're doing is they're grooming your behavior. It's about behavioral control and behavioral grooming. And they're making you act like you know these people and putting you in a deep psychosis. So right now, this is a major concern that I have with society. And this video just sums up. This is what I've been thinking about over and over again is what are we going to face here? And where are the men? Okay, where are the men when crap hits the fan? Where are the men to protect women? These are the type of people that think that women should be on the front lines probably. Right? Or they'll say, oh, no, they don't need to be on the front lines, but, women and men are equal. And it's women and men are equal, but physically they're not equal. That's basic science, right? A man is bigger, built differently than a woman is, right? Right now is a time period where men need to be men and act like men and be the voice of reason, be able to take care of their families and be able to take care of and keep our government in check. Because really that's what the Second Amendment's about. What we're seeing right now is a government gone rogue all around the world. And we could think of other countries, we know that they're unarmed. Here in America, the problem is that there's so many of us, but there's so many people like this guy. And so many people like this guy are going to be at your front door. So many people like this guy are going to be supporting and are currently enabling the psychotic government to do the things that they're doing. Because they see them and they're like, it's not as bad as Trump. It's not, and Trump obviously is just as bad because he's one of them. But the bully thing, that kind of mentality. It's like, that's just called being like, grow a pair, have a spine. Nobody does. So I wanted to throw that in because that's the first thing that comes up. And then all the comments is everybody else. I'm weeping. I haven't slept last night. Huh? You haven't slept last night because the guy from Friends who you've never met from a show that aired 30 years ago died in a hot tub at the age of 54, who proudly supported some type of poison going in his body. And you're, are we all right? Is everybody out there okay? Clearly not. So back to the other part of the story, which is the magic potion, right? Another person who openly promotes this, who's 54. People at 54 don't just drop dead, but of course they're going to say, oh, he was an addict and all this stuff. And, oh, yeah, Right, but he was also promoting something that, they clearly want this article out there because they know that that the second that these people who promoted it instantly have something happen to them, that they need to have this type of propaganda out there so that people automatically don't ask questions and become suspicious of 54-year-olds dropping dead. I always say this about kids who are autistic. Or, I've talked in the past, if some of you are new to my channel, I talked about that show, The Good Doctor. And what we've seen in our society is promoting children who are autistic. Now, you have to hear me out because people automatically put up a wall. They're like, well, why shouldn't we? They're kids too, et cetera. Instead of going, hey, it's not normal for kids to be autistic. It's not normal. This isn't something that's normal. Just like it's not normal for men to not be able to make babies with their wives anymore. Okay, the reason that they promote is they want you to think that it's normal for kids to be born autistic because they don't want you to realize why they're born autistic. They don't want you to look up at the sky or look at the label on your food, or most specifically, look at the things that newborn babies have injected into their bodies. So they put shows out like The Good Doctor, and then everyone's like, oh, he's autistic. It's normal. And I'm not saying that the autistic child doesn't deserve love or compassion. Of course, it's normal to care about the child, but we shouldn't be accepting that. We shouldn't be going, oh, it's normal, because it's not normal. These types of numbers of children who were born this way, it's not normal, okay? It's because of the things that they're putting in these children's bodies. And you're like, oh, well, we used to get those shots. It's not the same thing. It's not even close to the same thing. And they're also dumping soft metals on us from the sky. So that's a mindset that we have. And that's what they're trying to ingrain in people now with any of these people who drop dead at 50. It's normal. 50-year-olds drop dead. Is it? Just like all the athletes who drop dead, they're like, yeah, it's just sudden syndrome of these people dropping dead. And they throw this propaganda out, written within hours of the person perishing. This thing didn't even get a chance. This says exactly here. It says, Matthew Perry, who charmed audiences across the globe, playing Chandler Bing on the show Friends, was reportedly found dead on October 28th. This article came out on October 28th at his Los Angeles home from an apparent drowning. Law enforcement officers confirmed to Rolling Stone he was 54. An LAPD spokesman said police responded at 4:12 this afternoon. Okay, so they responded at 4:10 this afternoon, excuse me. The story probably came out a few hours later, like Eastern time, maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. This article was written at 10 o'clock. So how is anti-potion people rushing to blame anyone? I mean, of course, people with a brain automatically started thinking that, but it's not like this is some national story where people are outside protesting and walking with signs saying Matthew Perry. A couple people tweeted about it, so they knew when this happened that he had promoted it over and over again. And then he dropped dead, and they want to make sure that people out there still go and get it over and over again because that's how all of this works. So the article goes on to say, when the news of Perry's passing broke Saturday afternoon, a number of prominent right-wingers on X, including Candace Taylor, a former Republican candidate for governor of Georgia and current GOP chair of Georgia's first congressional district, were quick to blame the actors perishing on the potion. I love when the Republicans come out and they start doing this stuff. They were all on board with the potion, by the way. So was Fox News. Now they're trying, because they need to keep you lured into the left-right. So the Republicans are out there playing this part. I guarantee you Candace Taylor's got a potion. I guarantee all of them do. Okay? I guarantee you that the only reason that they're mentioning this stuff is because they want to gain your trust and support, which is a fact, which is what Fox News is doing. Fox News are the same people telling their audience, their elderly audience specifically, that they need to do the smart thing for themselves and go out and get it. And it wasn't after about 8 months to a year that they started going, well, it shouldn't be forced on people. It's not really fair, because they saw the pushback and they don't want to lose the audience that they have sucked in, because they continually need to herd them, like we're seeing right now with Bagelville. So they go, not a conspiracy when it's truth, is what the woman tweets out. And of course, the shirt, right? And the guy tweeted, could I be any more potion? Get your shot and then your shirt. Shop the entire collection at Matthew Perry's store, which is, I mean, Matthew Perry's store. Okay. Did he have a heart attack in the jacuzzi and drown? Well, clearly something along those lines. What are you going to tell me he fell asleep? But it doesn't matter one way or the other. What matters is we have to always watch how the media responds to stuff like this, what they take, what they run with, all of it. It's important, right? Because we can tell anyone with a brain that when an article like this comes out, hours after this story comes out, when the main thing they should be saying is, oh, this happened to him, let's keep everybody sucked in emotionally and all this stuff, they have to immediately deflect because they don't even want you. They're afraid that people suddenly are going to see that he was promoting it and then start talking about it. So they want this out beforehand so that it drowns out any other narratives that are out there. And this automatically puts up a protective wall. We see it the right way. Everybody else out there, this mind control works on them, believe it or not. That's why they constantly do it. They wouldn't do it unless it worked. And it does. And we look at it and we laugh. We're like, how are people, blah, blah, blah. How are people believing this? Because they're stupid. So the article goes on to say, when the anti-potion crowd loves few things more than rushing to baselessly claim the death of every potioned celebrity on the one-niner, and X has mutated into an ugly front of disinformation under Elon Musk's rule. And of course, that's another narrative that's out there that I need to cover more. I covered in the beginning. This whole thing, they're acting like X is, oh, if people are running amok with misinformation, there's a huge false flag coming from something on X. We could all see that, right? You get the whole thing where they're letting them post all this stuff, this anti-this. There's going to be something with bagels on X. It's going to lead to something, and then it'll be another way to usher in more censorship on the internet. That's all done by design because Elon Musk is one of them. So anyway, they go, the ugly front of disinformation under Elon Musk's rule. Their decision to do so with Perry is especially sickening given the star's long, detailed history of health problems stemming from his addiction issues. Perry said his substance, they haven't even given a cause of death yet. So, it seems kind of important for them to put this article out. I can continue on, but I mean, they're promoting the fact that he had other problems to try to drown out any narrative of this. And of course, this also keeps people completely divided and gets people angry, right? People who are potion get very angry by this stuff. They get very triggered by it. I don't get triggered when I see it. I just, I see this stuff and I go, let me just see how they're spinning it. What's the narrative? What's the mind control? And then you see guys weeping on YouTube and you just go, this is the problem. This is why I just look at this stuff and I'm like, what am I even supposed to do at this point? Minimal YouTube channel. I can't really reach anybody anymore. Every time I try, I get shut down. I reach new people. Everybody gets frustrated. People stop subbing, blah, blah, blah. And then I see people like that. I'm like, is there a point anymore when people are acting and behaving like kids? And then they're like, what's wrong with how I'm acting and behaving? It's like, look, we all make mistakes. I mean, but you got to grow up at some point, right? And you might say, fine, it's okay for him to have adult toys because they've normalized that. If 10 years ago, if you saw a grown man with a toy collection, you'd be like, whoa, he's a flamer or something's wrong with him. Now it's so normal because YouTube promotes that type of stuff. And people don't realize whether they're going back to all this retro stuff is because they feel so off with the way the world is. Instead of facing that, they just try to act like kids again because it was a time where everybody felt better and safer, right? So they start acting like children again when we need men to act like men and people to stand up. So they've obviously, when you see a guy doing that, you might say to yourself, well, I don't know, because you've been desensitized to it. But you don't even have to look at the fact that the guy's into all the kids stuff. Just look at how he behaves. He's crying over this. He's crying. This isn't his mother, his father. This isn't even his pet, which are all understandable to cry over. I mean, this guy, let me put it in perspective. I hope people are still listening. Let me put it in perspective. This guy is crying over someone he's never met. But the crisis actors that we see, specifically even at the last event up in Maine that show up on TV, whose children perished suddenly perfectly healthy a couple hours before, they don't even utter a tear. I mean, at the Hook and Sandy, nobody was uttering a tear, were they? No, they weren't, right? But this guy's uttering a tear over Matthew Perry. Shows you how twisted and insane this world truly is. Let me know. I'm curious what people think about this in the comments section. Obviously, I find it frustrating because the more I think about what this is going to lead to and what's going to happen here, I realize that, we don't have anybody really around us. And if we all join forces as far as, getting near each other, living near each other, et cetera, well, they'll label us a cult, they'll Waco us. So it's a dead end. And you say, oh, well, just find people around you, protect your neighborhood, protect where you are. And this is what's around you. You think that guy's going to stand up and do anything? I mean, let's be real. And when you have 1 million subs like that, I don't give a crap how many subs anybody has, but when you have 1 million subs, you're reaching a lot of people, and a lot of those people are just getting watered down as well. You become softer and softer, more emo and more emo And then when it comes time for them to take away all our rights, these people will just go, all right, take our rights away. Can I still have my toys? And they don't realize that they're adult babies. Okay? It's absolutely frightening to me. I thank everybody for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. God bless all of you as always and your families.